Hello, my name is Jennifer Nelson. My future career goal is to become a speech-language pathologist. During my senior year at Clemson University, I had the opportunity to complete an internship where I could gain experience in my chosen profession. This is a picture of my home-based clinic, Speech Interventions. The speech-language pathologist that I interned under is Stacy Williamson. Stacy works as a consult therapist for Oconee County Schools, but also maintains some work at her clinic, Speech Interventions. This meant that I gained knowledge of school-based speech therapy as well as therapy in a clinical setting. While at the clinic, I organized paperwork and filed various documents. This exposed me to the type of paperwork that is involved at a pediatric speech clinic. The picture shown is a filing cabinet full of worksheets, activities, and speech therapy ideas organized into themes and subjects. Some of these were used during therapy sessions that I observed. This is a picture of me and a client that has therapy at Speech Interventions. Here I am reading over some figurative language and explaining what each expression means. This was one of the few clients that I saw at the clinic, but it gave me a good understanding of the type of therapy that is done in a clinical setting. This is one of the schools where I spent most of my time during my internship. This school had about 15 middle school students in need of speech. I hadn't seen speech therapy being conducted with many middle schoolers prior to this, so I was grateful for the opportunity to see the differences in therapy between younger and older students. During our time at West Oak Middle School, Stacy was performing as a consult during the regular speech teacher's maternity leave. Pictured is the teacher, Sherry McGuffin, with Stacy. Mrs. McGuffin spent 2 days with us during my internship and provided me with much information about what it is like to be a speech therapist at a middle school. This is a picture of some of the resources that were available at West Oak Middle School in the speech room. This included articulation flashcards, games, sensory objects, testing materials, board games, art supplies, and even more. I felt that the students had much more fun in this type of setting than in an empty classroom. Though the classroom was well stocked, sometimes more materials were brought in or printed out for different occasions. This is a game that I played with 2 speech students around Thanksgiving. After meeting the students, I researched various activities that fit their goals and would see the results after completing each activity. This is a picture of me practicing some articulation and vocabulary skills with a group of students. At this time, we were using a game called Zingo as a resource. Some groups were larger, like this one, and others only had 2 students. Some students required one-on-one attention. This is a photograph of me with one of the groups of 2 students. After some hard work identifying objects and working on eye contact, I reinforced the students with some time to play with sensory toys, which they enjoyed very much. I've learned throughout the internship that it's very important to congratulate students after a job well done. This is an example of me conducting therapy with a student that required one-on-one attention. In this circumstance, the student was being prompted to demand for an object using sign language. I practiced some basic sign language skills during this internship so that I could communicate better with students that had nonverbal tendencies. Seneca Middle School is another site where I interned with Miss Williamson. This school actually has 3 different speech-language pathologists that come 1 day a week because of how many students require speech therapy. There were not as many speech resources available at this site, so we usually brought materials with us. This is me talking with 2 of the speech students at Seneca Middle School. I was hesitant at first to work with middle school students, but they're actually some of my favorite age group to work with now. They provided me with much laughter and also indirectly taught me some valuable life lessons. One of the main focuses of many of the middle school students that I work with was language and pragmatic skills. Here, one of the students is writing down what his family normally eats for Thanksgiving. We practiced taking turns and listening to each other speak, as well as spelling and explaining what each item was. I attended an IEP meeting during my internship. Though I was unable to take a picture, I thought this graph showed an accurate representation of who attends the IEP meeting. IEP stands for Individualized Education Program and is a document for each public school child who receives special education and related services. Therefore, an IEP meeting is where the updated IEP is discussed and agreed upon. One day, Stacy Williamson and I went to her home-based school, Oakway Intermediate. This is a school for only 4th and 5th grade students. The project that day was to clean up the speech classroom, organize books and bookshelves, and clean out and organize available materials. This is a picture of the finished product of the classroom. Stacy provided time for me to conduct research that she assigned that was related to speech-language pathology. Most of these assignments related back to an experience that was happening at the time or a student that we were serving. Topics included cleft palate surgeries, Wright's Law, and traumatic brain injury and cognition. On one day of the week, Stacy works as a console at Orchard Park Elementary School. This was a change of pace for me because we worked with many preschoolers and kindergartners. This was a great opportunity to see the differences between speech therapy with younger students versus older students. We saw one student at the Fred P. Hamilton Career Center. High school students attend this facility to gain more skills that will go towards pursuing their desired career. Working with a 16-year-old student proved to be much different than working with younger students. Though I enjoy my time here, I decided that I preferred working with younger students much more. I have gained more insight into the speech-language pathology profession through this internship. I am even more excited to pursue a career in this field. I will miss all of the students that I have worked with, for they have made this experience truly worthwhile.